Welcome to the show, Through the Glass, a podcast for you. Today I'm excited to have Geena Buono, a doctor of chiropractic, a friend, a musician, an artist, a thought leader in some respects as well around town and with some issues, and I hope to get into all of it today. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Geena.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good.
I'm excited that you're here. You're the first guest that I called to ask if you'd be interested, and you said yes. And then, like, I don't know how long it was, but you're like, hey, what's up? We doing this? I got COVID.
Of course.
And I feel like we lost a month of our lives.
Everybody did. Yeah. Christmas,
between
everything.
It sort of reverberates out in a family household. You're used to being around a lot of people and kids and all this. Everything just reverberates out.
Yeah.
And it was a fucking drag. I really feel like maybe not a month, maybe like 3 weeks in total was just like gone.
I think everybody went through that experience with the Omicron. I mean, I don't know why, and knock on whatever's available here and stuff, but I still haven't got it, you know. And then we went the route of getting vaxxed and everything else. And as a chiropractor, a lot of chiropractors, that's not the normal route for us. But
Why is that not the normal route for a chiropractor? Speak to that.
What a way to get started.
Let's get into it.
Well, chiropractic's always been a natural health care, based on nothing in the body, nothing out of the body. It's more of coming from within and not coming from without.
Sure.
So the idea of the vaccinations, with all of the things that they don't want to talk about that are in vaccinations, everybody's, yamming about the FDA and rushing these things through and stuff. My thing was that I just didn't see any other solutions on the horizon. And regardless of all the other things I know about vaccinations and things that we legitimately have questions about that should be answered, I thought at this point right now, I mean, we're drawing straws, so, we better do something. And we have an active virus that's out in the world as a pandemic, and we don't have many other defenses going on. So I thought it was in our best interest to take the edge off death and get the vaccination.
Take the edge off death. Yes. Let's take the edge off death.
Yeah, just a little.
Well, I mean, the science is fluid, and we'll know more tomorrow and more in a year and much more in 5 years.
Right. We're throwing a lot of stuff up against the wall. And when I powwowed with my children and had a conference with them, and we sat down and tried to come up with a game plan. My game plan was like, let's try to be as safe as we can for the first year, because no one's really going to know what's going on, and we're all going to be kind of, throwing stuff up against the wall and trying to see what sticks. And there's going to be a lot of mistakes that the medical profession is going to make. And I thought that it was important for us to kind of like just survive, like get out there and not get ourselves in trouble and not put ourselves in the front line of treatment or anything like that, because it's going to be such a learning curve. And there was. I mean, as you can see now, the mortality rate is lower. That's because the treatment is better. And there's a lot of other things available to us that obviously are not going to be available on day one. So here we are, like, a couple of years into this whole thing, and okay, the virus has lessened, it's mutated, it's been more contagious, but it's not as effective as it was before. But that's the whole point, making it out to 2 years, not for that first wave of people that really, got caught up and really got beat up or lost their lives as a result of, a very virulent strand,
And the healthcare system strain.
Absolutely.
We all know people who work in hospitals. I remember when Jersey Shore, or whatever it's called now, Medical Center in Neptune,
yeah,
they were building triage tents in the parking lots.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So I think my angle and our family's angle was like, well, we feel pretty good about our chances, but we were just trying to help the hospital numbers.
Well, that's it too. I mean, like, I see people who are like crying out that they don't want vaccinations or they don't want the government to control them and all the other things that I've heard people talk about, which sometimes I've been on that end of the conversation. I looked at that whole thing too. If we don't contribute, if we don't do anything like that, like how much stress can we put on the healthcare system before it collapses?
Well, not much.
Right.
That's been answered. In Italy first.
Right.
Our people.
Right.
right?
Yes.
It seems to hate Italians.
Of course.
A little more than
I thought
other
it
folks.
did,
What's
yeah.
up with that? So how come you're not sick? What the fuck? You special Italian?
I don't know. Maybe I'm tall enough to be special. I know that.
That's probably why I got sick. I am not tall enough to
See,
stay
yeah,
safe.
you're under the height level. That's right.
I think the virus sinks below below 5'5" or 5'6".
Yeah, like a amusement park ride.
That's exactly right. You're not allowed on the COVID ride. Unfortunately, I'm on the ride.
You are. Come with me, kid.
So you were bucking the consensus of your chiropractic community. Are you plugged into the community of chiropractors?
Oh, yeah.
And is it a strong community?
30 years later, of course, I have a lot of close relationships within the community. Yeah, I mean, like many marginalized communities, people begin to kind of really bond and get tight with one another. And for sure, chiropractors have definitely been a marginalized community within the health professions. We're not part of the AMA. We have our own organizations, statewide and also nationally as well. And we have a philosophy in our own way of thinking that health is from inside out, above down, inside out. We know that there's a universal intelligence. We recognize that. We recognize that universal intelligence is within all of us, and that we have our own intelligence that can create something from 2 cells and make it into what it is right now, living tissue, and intelligent. And a lot of this stuff goes on without any help, without any education, without any science or anything like that. It happens. So we're hanging on to that. That's chiropractic has always been trying to hang on to the power that made the body heals the body. That's one of the things that every chiropractor would laugh if they heard this. Because
you're talking about metaphysics.
I always thought it was. It's funny because
you're talking about a metaphysical
when I first became
angle.
a chiropractic, I had like a little card, and I thought I was going to hang myself. I'm going to start my whole life over again, and I'm going to be a metaphysician. I'm going to create a lot of new words, and one of them is going to be metaphysician. And here they are now calling it the metaverse and all this other stuff. And it's like, this is 20 years ago when I was like, I knew what I was doing was more metaphysical. I couldn't take what I was doing and quantify it and put it in a scientific box and come out and with all of this scientific evidence and stuff, because here we are, we're talking about almost like theology now, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that's in the same world, sure.
For lack of a, because we don't have a term for it. I mean, when people start talking on the metaphysical realm, suddenly we're talking about religion, and we're not talking about spirituality. I guess.
Well, it could be religion, or it could be what people experience when they're in a flow. They could be a creative awakening. People who use psychedelics often experience the same thing. Psilocybin, LSD.
Sure.
For some, it's Jesus. For some, it's Allah.
But it's all the same.
It's all the same. I think it's all the same.
Yeah, it's one.
So there's a cabal of witches who are chiropractors. Got it. And
possibly.
That's
a good way to put it.
I'm kidding, folks. You're one of 3 close friends who are chiropractors.
Oh, cool. Chiropractic is super cool. I mean, it's way cooler than people are ready to let it be. It's not, it's not the cure-all to everything or whatever.
Nothing is.
Nothing is. That's the whole point. And the whole point is about wellness and proactivity, like being able to get in front of things, being healthier, getting to the point where you're more vibrant and you have a better immune system and stuff. And now we're talking about health. Everything else is about illness. It's not about health whatsoever. We're not even discussing health when we're talking about treating, disease.
It's one component of wellness.
Right.
Is that?
But look at the major part of what the Western, medicine has bought into is treating disease. It has nothing to do with so much about keeping people well and vibrant and healthy and proactive. It's all about when you get sick, come see me. I have a pill for you.
Well, that generates money.
Yeah.
And money generates marketing.
Yes.
And marketing generates interest, and interest generates money, and so it goes.
Sure.
Infinitely.
And I'm on board right now. I took my vax. I did what I had to do for the team. But ultimately and stuff, the way I feel about it is like, if you're listening carefully right now, all you're seeing and listening to is a lot of marketing about getting everybody you possibly can to get these vaccinations. And now all of a sudden, the greed wheel is running. There's a lot of money to be made, and And now you're like, oh, you're ruining the credibility of this, the sincerity of it, the believability of it all and stuff. I want to buy into the science. I want to be able to buy into all of this stuff. You got to stop doing all of this other stuff to make everybody believe it's the only thing we can do. Like there's treatments probably you can that have can be improved upon. There's ways to prevent even getting it and stuff. Let's talk about all of it. Let's not just all of a sudden tell everybody it's like it's it's everything. It's Jesus in a little shot in your arm and stuff.
Well, there's extremists everywhere, and a lot of people are not intelligent enough to parse out, scientific data from what they might be hearing in casual conversation or from marketing campaigns.
Well, we're all learning. I mean, I'm learning. I'm open-minded too.
Yeah.
You're learning. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and because if you watch the science has changed their minds a million times. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Do this, don't do that. Like it's like I'm gonna tell you to get vaccinated, and you're gonna be immune, and suddenly like now I'm telling you like you're vaccinated, but you can still catch it, and you can still pass it on to other people. But they're being said, I want you to wear a mask and stuff, and I mean there's a lot of different things that just are kind of like crossing over and becoming really convoluted. I look to people and think, why are you getting on everybody's cases who don't get vaccinated? Because at the end of the day, if I'm vaccinated, I can carry it, and you're vaccinated, and you can carry it, and they're unvaccinated, and they can carry it. We're all carriers. We're all susceptible to carrying it over. We're susceptible to catching it, and we're all capable of passing it on to somebody else. So no one's more of a greater risk than each other. And even the unvaccinated person. As long as if you could show me science says that the vaccinated, is less likely, it doesn't carry a bigger viral load or something like that, then I could say, okay, well, then that makes sense. But it doesn't. I mean, what's happening now, I mean, there was a lot of people that got, Omicron and who just recently got their booster, like a day later, so we're carrying the virus around regardless of the vaccination. The thing with the vaccination, which I bought into, was, like I said in jest before, taking the edge off of death. It's like, if you could reduce the symptoms, that's more of a treatment than it is, an immunization.
Well, I think it's an appropriate treatment.
I don't.
If someone told me, hey, here's this thing that's going to, I love this line, take the edge off, maybe not death, but let's say take the edge off anything above mild symptoms. I felt like I had a mild case. I was out of the game for about 5 days.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Just shot.
And you're vaccinated.
That's correct.
Right.
So I may never know whether being vaccinated had any effect on that, or if I wasn't vaccinated, if it would have been more severe. But it appears as though the science is telling us that being vaccinated lowers severity, like you said, which may correlate to load, which may correlate to transmissibility. But time is going to, I guess time will parse that out.
One of the things I was so glad I picked up on before I came in to have a conversation with you was that somebody said, if there's no more, trees in the forest, you can't have a fire, and if you think about that in the terms of COVID, if everybody's gotten it, if everybody's gotten vaxxed and stuff like that, we've eliminated the trees in the forest. And that's basically what we're trying to do here, is if there's, no source to burn, then obviously it's going to burn out. And that's why I think people really should think about this, a lot deeper and understand that, like, we just need to remove the trees here, like, and make sure that everybody understands that, like, a virus is going to hop from one host to another that's available. And once there's no more hosts that are available, it can't hop anymore, and it's going to die, And so that's one thing that happened with Omicron. It was so contagious that it just infected so many people across the nation so quickly that's why we're seeing the numbers drop so fast right now, because it's ping-ponging around looking for hosts, but it can't find it, and in doing so, it's dying.
I hope that's the case.
Me too.
That's where my hopes are.
Well, if you look at the numbers right now, I mean, that's where we're heading. And
that would be nice. I mean, I think another way could possibly be, going the endemic route, like the common cold.
Sure.
Like the flu.
Yeah, but what about this
which is a mutating thing, right? I mean, I don't get a flu shot. I have gotten a few, but I generally don't.
Me neither.
That's like a 50-50.
Yeah, no, I've never gotten a
You know,
flu
they're
shot
get
before.
maybe twice. When
Yeah.
I was teaching, I think there was like 1 or 2 years where they were strongly recommending it, and I wasn't opposed to it. So I wasn't like
No,
having a fundamentalist feeling about it. I was
well,
just
you
like,
tell me there's 5 or 6 different strands of the flu out there, and I'm going to give you this one. It's a crapshoot whether you're going to have the right one or not. I'm
it's
like,
a
I'll pass.
crapshoot. Yeah, it's like what is it, like 47%
I'll
chance
pass.
you're
Yeah. So
good.
hopefully it doesn't get that
Hey,
way.
I passed on that
Yeah.
as well.
Well, and I can't help but feel like there's a lot of marketing to do with all of this, and we're starting to try to make people believe in the future that we have to depend on vaccinations, and that vaccinations are going to replace treatments, and vaccinations are going to replace wellness and proactivity, and they shouldn't. We shouldn't just rely on the fact that, well, we have a vaccine for this, and especially if the fact that we're going to come down with lesser symptoms that aren't even that detrimental anymore to anybody's health. I mean, I laugh when people sit there. I get the chickenpox vaccine. I'm like, why? I had it when I was 18 years old. I'll never forget it. I was supposed to play in an all-star basketball game before the Nets and all this other stuff, and I was so psyched. And the next thing I know, I was like, I had chickenpox, and the next thing I know, John Lennon was shot. I was like, all in the same couple of days. I was like, it was just terrible.
When were you playing basketball?
Oh
What's
God,
this?
I played basketball all my life. Just I've been a
Well, you're
ball.
not short,
No, I just
so I get that. Tell me about your basketball career.
okay.
Let's talk. When did you get into basketball?
I guess I was in third grade. I mean, like,
Really?
automatically, when everybody else in the class picture goes like this, and all of a sudden you see you, and they go down like this, they come and try to find you. And my brother played and stuff too, and like, I just everybody in the neighborhood kind of played, and I got into playing. So as a kid, and Catholic schools were, if you look, Catholic schools always have kind of a connection to basketball too. Like, some of the I don't know what the network is between Catholic schools and basketball, but there's a
Yeah, like St. Anthony's,
yeah, yeah,
North Jersey in particular.
St. Rose right here in Belmar, like
I went to that school.
CBA, they're
St. Rose. I burped a little bit. I'm sorry. That's rude.
I wasn't even capable of making it to high school.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Brick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went to school in Brick?
Yeah, I went to St. Dominic's as a kid.
So you're a Catholic school kid.
Yeah, I'm a Catholic school kid. I
Yeah,
made
me
it to
too.
8th grade, and that was the last that they wanted to see of me, And then I went to Lake Riviera Middle School when I was a kid, and that was my introduction into public school, like in the middle of the school year, based on my behavior. And then I went to Brick High School, which I was heading towards anyway. All my siblings went to Catholic school as in grammar school, and we all ended up going to Brick, later on. But I played basketball, in freshman in high school. Our program was terrible. By that time, everybody was smoking weed too, and just didn't seem like it was worth putting in all of those sprints and everything else to play on a team that wasn't going to win any games. And so we ended up playing CYO basketball, and converted CYO basketball into a thing where, like, we had more kids in the stands and people come to see our CYO games than we did high school games.
CYO volleyball.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't even know that they didn't even have that then. Like, they weren't even offering that.
Apparently, I was at a very fancy church.
Oh
I
no!
guess.
I was practicing in the old visitation church where you actually had to go up on a layup and jump up on the stage at the same exact time.
Or get your knees cut out from you.
Break an ankle or something like that. Like, it was, you had to time it perfectly. These are with those half moon backboards and stuff. I'm dating myself, but we had a lot of fun. A lot of us were, we played a lot of different sports in Brick. I played football. I hate to say this, but
Why?
I don't know. It's just kind of, I've had so many different lives and stuff that, like, but I still have friends, that I played football with and stuff, that we still communicate with one another. And being part of the Brick football program is a family. It's a big family thing.
Get your name anywhere in the school?
Maybe.
I have a picture up in my high school. I'm not going to tell anyone where it is or what it's referring to.
Exactly.
Might have a photo up for a specific reason. So why would you struggle in school? What was the issue?
Oh, I would imagine, in hindsight now, carrying some of the early knowing, not knowing, but wondering what the hell was, up with me and stuff, being transgender from the time I was a child. When you're born, you don't understand. One of the things I learned when I was in therapy was they were trying to kind of, like, figure out when this started to, like, be a thing for me or whatever. And, like, many of us will sit there and say, it's like my earliest memories, 2, 3, 4 years old or whatever. So I was struggling
When
with,
anybody is starting
Yeah,
to
you
identify
develop.
those things,
Yeah.
right?
but there was no one to talk to. I mean, I'm dating myself, and but I was born in the '60s, so I'm like, who are you going to talk to in the '60s about any of these conversations? An Italian family, an old Italian family, which, when your father's a bricklayer, these are not the kind of conversations you bring up at the dinner table.
So when was it able to be a conversation for you as a person, be it amongst your friends or be it amongst your family? When could it be vocalized, expressed, and maybe not accepted, but at least vocalized?
Oh God, vocalized to other people came very late in my life. It started a little bit singularly with the girlfriends, that I could trust and stuff, and maybe one I could think of, and I love her to this day for that. Being able to talk to her about it, and it was the first person I ever told and shared it with and stuff. And by now, I'm in my 20s, and I'm telling the first person ever, in my life and stuff. So,
Which is like way late for nowadays, right?
hello, yeah, yeah. Well, they can thank
And
us.
way early for generations before you, because
Yes,
the timeline there
we
was
could thank
never.
them.
Timeline there
Exactly.
was never.
No, no. I mean, I look at some of those people. I mean, I have heroes in my own life. I had a girl that I went to high school with, and I knew her in high school, and she transitioned early enough that I went to my 10-year reunion and she was there. And so we're talking about, me graduating in the early 80s. And so, like, we're talking about her in the very early 90s, you know, being there. And to me, it was like, that's a pioneer. That's somebody who's like, way ahead of this whole thing. And because, my journey didn't start another 10 years after that.
Was that the first person you had met or known who had transitioned surgically?
Yes.
Transition.
Yes. First person, period. And I'm embarrassed and ashamed to say that I avoided her like the plague, when I first saw her and stuff. Didn't really know her that well anyway. We didn't hang out with each other, but of course we went to a small enough school. Everybody knew everybody. And I knew who she was. And, I was afraid of being associated, at that time.
Because you identified?
Yeah, yeah, because I
Almost
was.
like kind of like a self-hating
Oh, there I
kind of
was.
thing?
I was standing right there. There was my mirror. There was
Yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah, yeah.
everything I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, so
This is
fuck that.
right. And when everybody finds out about this, I'm gonna fall
You're
like,
next.
yeah, I'm gonna fall from grace, and everybody's gonna realize and find out something about me that I never wanted anybody to find out. I was really trying to take it to my grave.
Do you think you could have done that? Do you think that
No.
people,
Well, yes, I could have, but it would have been an early grave. I think.
well, who wants that stress?
Right.
That's a shame.
Right. And so, a chain of events happened and stuff that weren't exactly, well, they weren't even close to anything that was, healthy and stuff. There was just so many things that happened. I lost my son, and we ended up in a real tough time in our marriage and stuff. I mean, that will break any marriage apart.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know
I
that.
lost
I'm
my oldest
sorry.
son. He was 4 months old, and my son Max. And after that, that's when I started to realize that here was such a short life, a short journey, with so much courage and stuff, and here I was, leading a life of fear. But still, even with that being said and stuff, I had a daughter to take care of. I have other things on my mind that really needed to be, taking care of the family, and I had family, brothers and sisters, and a big family. And now they have children, and I have a mother and a father, and everybody I'm going to let down, and had all that pressure on me. And I'm a doctor, and all this other stuff, and it's the 90s or whatever, and like I'm in my 30s already, and things were starting to unravel. I mean, I'm sure they'd started to unravel when I lost Max. I mean, I just couldn't hold on anymore to much of anything that was bullshit. If it wasn't real, it wasn't. It couldn't stay. I needed every bit of energy I could just to survive. And then, one thing led to another, and things started to kind of decay in my relationship. And long story short, I was kind of outed. And, when that window opens up, you're thrown out. You either, splat on the ground, or you just try to find some wings, as quickly as you possibly can. And I would have never, ever knew, like, there was wings available for me. Like, never. I knew I wanted to live, and I knew I wanted to survive and stuff. And next thing I know, I was like, I definitely face planted. I don't think the wings worked I hit the ground, but maybe the ground wasn't as hard as it was supposed to be. You
Yeah,
know,
practice a little bit with the wings. What form did the wings take? Was it a clothing? Was it just a internal confidence? Was it being comfortable talking about certain things? What were the wings?
I think I was naturally a strong person. You know, since I was a kid, I was, like I said, I was always tall and the strongest kid in the class and all these other kind of stuff or whatever. You had to live up to all these expectations, even though you had something so deeply rooted inside of you. And I think I drew from that strength and knew that it's like, okay, you know, you can't get bitter. Like I had a very dear friend of mine, you know, he was an older man. He was a mentor of mine, a chiropractor, Pasquale Sarasoli. You know,
Oh, nice Irish name.
yeah, yes. I go up and see him every week with my friend, Dr. Rob Crystal, you know, from Point Pleasant. We were best of friends. We still are very, very close friends. And we would go up and see Pasquale, who was, you know, he was already in his 80s, upper 80s or whatever. He ended up living to 99 or maybe 100 or whatever. He got right there. And Pasquale was a mentor to us, you know, and he was such a, you know, sage, you know, like talk about metaphysical and talking about all the things he would put out in the world that someday the body's going to transform and light's going to come from our spine. And he had all these other kind of, you know, theories that he was out there. And he was like, you know, just exercising his brain, his thoughts, you know. And he told me probably some of the greatest one-liner that I can live to this day with. You know, he'd say to me like, you can get bitter or you can get better.
Dr. Pasquale.
Yeah.
Laying it down.
So simple, right? You know.
Dude, that's what's up. You can get bitter or
Right.
you can get better.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only, when faced with that, that's the only two choices. Because
So-
to go neutral, sometimes it feels like we can go neutral on things. Oh, that's not a problem. Push down. Oh, whatever. Push down. But that, I think that manifests itself as bitterness over time.
It's repression.
You have to get better.
That's repression.
That's repression.
Yeah.
That's
Speaking
right.
of, you know, being Italian, that's one of the good things about being Italian that people don't understand. It's like, you know, we're going to yell and scream for sure. Things are going to really come out really hot and stuff, but we get it out. And then we go back to love. You know, we go back to loving each other. There's no grudges. There's no tomorrow, the next day, or whatever. There's, hey, you hungry? You know, after all said
Yeah,
and
yeah.
done.
There's the smack, and then there's the sandwich.
Right? To follow. There's a couple of meatballs in the pot. You hungry?
Yeah. Yeah, your face looks like a mess.
And you
I
know-
did that to you. Now have some meatballs.
And you know it's over. Lessons learned, you know, moving on.
Yeah, that's some
Not
old
gonna
school
get
shit. That's
bi-
some old school shit, right?
Yeah, not going to get bitter. You know, we're just going to move on, like, you know, with all of this and stuff. Because at the end of the day, we're family and we love each other. And there's no room to ruin the family. There's no room for any of that thing. You're going to forgive and you're going to forget. You're going to get over this crap because at the end of the day, we love each other. That's it, you know.
That is a very Italian American thing. I'm sure it's others too, folks.
No,
We're just
I don't
talking
know.
amongst ourselves here. But that's so that. I struggle with that a little bit because I feel like my father's generation, they were able to go full bore on that, like full
Well,
beat
yeah.
down with full love.
Oh, my God,
And I'm
yeah.
like, we got to bring it in a little bit. My
Me
wife's
too,
like always
me too.
terrified I'm going to go a little over the edge, and I
Yeah.
have at times, but I feel like it always lands well. But how to
Well, it's needed
how to
to-
hit it just right? No,
It's needed to
mine, sorry for the pun. How to hit it just right? How to strike? No. How to do it just right? I don't know.
Well, that's what evolution's all about. Taking the good stuff and trying to kind of like, you know, hone it down to something that, you know, taking the good out of it, extracting the good out of it. And there's plenty of it. And I'll be and many people, especially in our, you know, ethnicity and stuff, will agree there's a lot of toxicity in there too that needs to come out and still needs to come out.
Oh, good lord!
I think that, you know, if we're talking about just that alone, and I could speak because I'm, you know, 1,000% Italian, just that I know of. I haven't done the DNA stuff.
Don't do it. It's
They're
gonna be a
not getting
bummer.
my.
Don't do
They're
it.
not getting my DNA. They're not going to clone me.
Oh no! Come on. Go ahead.
No, but I'm just looking at everybody and I'm saying, you know, it's very sad to see how judgmental, you know, such a loving, you know, ethnic background can be and stuff, but yet be so judgmental at the same time.
Oh
And so
yeah, especially if you go
conservative.
to Italy. If you're like walk down the street in Italy and you're like, I'm pretty sure people are just like there's some cliques of guys literally laughing at me, like out loud laughing at me, because maybe I got like some weird shoes on. Maybe I'm
Oh,
not in
fuck that.
fashion. Like the worst people in the world and the best people in the world.
Right. That's
Some
what's
yin-yang.
so crazy about it.
They should have taken that yin yang and put it over Italy.
You got to watch this movie called This Is the Night. It's just on recently on Netflix. It's about when Rocky 3 came out, and all of Staten Island went out to go see it on the day that it came out.
What?
And it changed the way everybody behaved for that particular night, because the entire city, the entire borough went out and saw the movie Rocky 3. And, it's so fucking bizarre, but there's so much truth to it and stuff too, because at the end of the day, it's like, oh, we're capable of doing that for sure. And
there's a documentary about, or is
no,
it
it was
film?
It just recently. It's out on Netflix now.
Julie, bookmark that one.
Oh
We gotta
my
watch
God.
that because I'm a huge Rocky fan, like to a fault.
When I saw that, oh my God, what's his name? Cannavale. I forgot his first name. He was in the movie and stuff, and why am I drawing a blank on his name? I absolutely love that guy. Well, anyway, I know his last name, and he was in the movie, and I was like, well, I'll watch anything he said. Danny Cannavale, something like that. And it was everything I could think about and more, way more. Like, it went into a place where it's like, God, did you all of a sudden drop this movie? Was I supposed to watch this? And I don't want to give any spoilers or anything like that.
I can't wait to watch this.
It hit me on every single level, and when you watch it, you'll know why. There's just every single level that you could possibly think of, and it's dated in 1983, I think it was, and I had turned on as many people as I knew who were, grew up in the 80s and stuff. I was like my friends and stuff that would appreciate this. And one of my friends was like, Gina, he goes, I was a bartender in the only gay bar in Staten Island in 1983. I was like, get out of here. Really? So here it was, we're watching something that potentially could have revolved around his role in the whole thing and stuff too. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of layers to it.
I cannot wait. What's it called again? Tonight's the Night?
No, This Is the Night.
This is the Night. Tonight's the Night. That's that Neil Young thing.
No,
This is the Night. I love how it revolves around Rocky 3, which is arguably the worst fucking movie. Certainly the worst Rocky movie.
It was it was definitely on the downfall for sure. And
but you get Mr. T.
I loved it.
You get Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I loved it. I had no complaints with it at all.
But in retrospect,
that's
now
in
in
retrospect, when I look at it, I was
on.
like, oh yeah. And my son schooled me on this whole thing too, and I'm like, I never thought of it that way. They were just trying to kind of come up with a great white hope to kind of tone down the Muhammad Ali, kind of thing, where it's like, oh yeah, we could have one too, even though it's a fictional character, it's a Rocky, the Italian guy who's a underdog champion and stuff, and it kind of overshadowed the greatness of Muhammad Ali, who was the real deal, and out there, and yet here they were still trying to pull a scam, to kind of make, we got something better, you don't need that, you can have Rocky,
So you feel that there was a sort of a political
I never thought it. I was too naive.
Did the movie touch on this?
No.
Or is this just your own thoughts?
No, my son says he's from Wokistan, and isn't that awesome?
Oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go to Wokistan.
Yeah, he's from Wokistan. So
lovely wine, by the way.
Thank you.
You brought
should we pitch the wine too? I don't know if it's legal to do that, but we're actually drinking from Sting's.
We're in
vineyard
Asbury
right now.
Park.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I'm not afraid of that. I only picked up pitching it. So
Everything's legal.
So I can pour it. That's.
Why don't you do here? You're pouring. Listen. Yes.
That's what I mean. Palazzo, Roxanne from Sting's Vineyard in Tuscany. I think it's really cool that he names his wines after his songs from the Police.
It's not just a fictional prostitute, it's also a wine.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sting.
And it's better than Rocky 3.
It's not hard. Again, you do get Mr. T. And I had the biggest 80s crush on Mr. T.
I fucking love that movie. I still love Mr. T because of it. All that bling and everything else.
And he was taunting Rocky and making passes at Adrian.
Yeah.
Coming down here. Give it a real man. Rocky's like, oh, that guy with the fucking reverse mohawk.
Oh my God, wait till you see the movie. You're just going to die.
This is the night.
You're going to die. Excuse me.
When were you, when were your wings able to, if ever, have conversations with your bricklayer Italian father?
Well, they were never. I mean, I was out it before he passed away. He passed away in 2001. And I was out it before that. Some pictures went around from the good old AOL days and the internet.
Jesus.
And I looked great. I was on a couch and I was smelling a daisy, I think, in a burgundy velour dress.
That was his introduction.
At least I looked good.
Thank God. Thank God.
Really, really thin. I don't know. I don't know if he saw the picture or not or whatever. We really didn't get into that or whatever. And I really don't even remember having a conversation about that. I remember more the conversation with my older brother, and that was really difficult. I idolized my brother, and we shared bedrooms growing up and everything. And all of a sudden, he's knowing something that I kept from him all my life. And my brother was, he was my brother. He tried to wrap his head around it. I couldn't expect everybody to all of a sudden deal with something as quickly as I shouldn't say quickly. I was dealing with it all my life, So I couldn't expect them to all of a sudden wrap their head around it instantaneously. And he definitely struggled with it and stuff. But having that conversation with him was humiliating. It was embarrassing. It was, standing in front of him as the person he always knew, but now all of a sudden the information is so different and stuff. And I wasn't the person I am now. I had so much more to go. It just was really coming out with a very personal secret, and I was like, I wasn't really ready to tell anybody.
He had no idea.
So they say,
Yeah, sure.
Maybe they're protecting me or themselves or whatever. And my mother said, that was one of the funny things too. You were always so handsome. You were gorgeous. I'm like, you never said that to me before.
Gorgeous.
Now all of a sudden I'm gorgeous. Everybody thought you were an Adonis. Like, Mom, I was like, I never heard those words out of your mouth. Not that it would have made any difference or whatever. Thank you. I said, but now all of a sudden you want to build me up to being that. I was like, come on, really? It's like, not like that. But it hurt a lot of people, and that, is something you never get over. You can only apologize for the rest of your life, knowing that, I know this hurt, but what was I going to do? I had to live. And
you felt that you had to apologize, or you feel regret?
I don't feel regret. No, I really, that's the last thing I feel. I feel, thank God.
Regret for not sharing earlier.
I don't even know that, because there's no mistakes. My mantra, if they put it on my stone, is going to be there's no mistakes, because you got to live the life the way the life is presented to you. You got to handle it. You got to get out there and do what you got to do with whatever cards that they're tossing at you. And like you said, with wings or without, on your way down, many, many stories looking like you're going to definitely faceplant and stuff. You got to pull whatever you can do and pull it up, and like I said, it's like I definitely face planted. I had a lot of stuff that I had to clean up, and there was a mess when I landed, but I never gave up, and I think that's important. That there's always another try if you never give up. You just got to keep trying. I think sometimes people get tired of trying, but
that's right.
Yeah,
and I don't want to.
I'll
bring up another Rocky quote. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. It only matters how many times you get up.
That's right. Yeah, see? It had an effect on all of us. I'm telling you.
Freaking Sly Stallone wisdom.
Right. Maybe I took it with me and stuff because I've never given up. There's no failure until you quit. These are things I teach my children, and I've lived myself, keep doing it over and over again until you get it right.
Grit.
The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect, different
results. Yeah.
You got to switch it up and stuff too and stuff. And if, and then age comes around, and what a savior that is, just when all of a sudden you turn around and look, and, you got that little frosty little thing that you got going on over here. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know you with that, it's like, and here you are. It starts to show signs of your sage, where all of a sudden, you start to crystallize a little bit, and things become a little bit more clear, and things slow down a little bit more, and your expectations get a little bit more practical, so that helped too. I think that, like, coming into myself age-wise, which wasn't easy, because all of a sudden I transitioned, and I was a hot chick for a hot second. Next thing I know, I'm a middle-aged chick for a long second.
I was a hot chick for a second. Hey, some chicks never get that second.
Oh, well,
So good for you.
you can if you want it, you know.
Yeah, that's
I don't know
right.
if I was hot, but I believed I was.
Well,
So,
that works. That works for many people. That works
so,
for many
and you
people.
just got to work it. And like one of the things I
That's
did
right.
tell my kids too is like, you know, if you want people to accept you, you got to accept yourself. And I knew from the very beginning that if I walked out into this world, and when I finally made my trip to Asbury Park, and it was a pilgrimage for sure. I was already coming out, and I was hanging out at Georgie's, and I was going up to, you know, the Coliseum, bypassing Asbury Park because it was too close to my house where I was living. Next thing I know, I'm practicing chiropractic, you know, as Geena in Long Branch, and you know, as my former life in Bricktown. I thought to myself, I could do both. You know, I could really have the best of both worlds.
Oh yeah, sure.
An idiot.
This face, this face,
I
this
was
face,
trying
this
my
face.
hardest, really. I was just trying my hardest to just, you know, kind of like live my true life and stuff, but at the same time not wreck everything else that I built and stuff. And it was inevitable that it had to come down. And it did, you know. And when I made my pilgrimage to Asbury Park, I knew that was the last time we were ever going to see that person again. I never turned back. And I realized, like, you know, if I don't accept myself right now, that no one else is going to accept me. That I'm just going to be the weirdo over here, like that's kind of strange, you know, like, you know, who dabbles in this and like kind of, no, I'm not. The cat's out of the bag. One of my dear friends, God rest his soul, you know, he said to me, he's like, what's going on? You know, you having problems with your marriage? What are you doing? Wearing your wife's panties? I'm like, that's fucking strange, you know. What a question to ask me.
What?
I looked him in the face and I was like, his father was the mayor, you know, and I was like, I knew the cat was out of the fucking bag right then. And I was like, okay, you didn't just say that for nothing. I was like, what do you know? You know, just like, let's get it out of the table. We're sitting at Frankie's in Point Pleasant, you know, having a dinner together. And he spelled it out for me. You know, I so heard this and I heard that or whatever. And I think he was looking for me to get defensive. And I was like, it's all true. You know, it was like I had to come out and sit there and say it to him. And thank God by that time I was doing therapy and I was already in the right channels. I was already doing the work that I needed to do, and you know, being a healthcare practitioner, being proactive, knowing, you know, I needed somebody to talk to, and I was well into therapy for years at that point, coming to terms with understanding who I was, and didn't even know what this was, and so we finally, you know, I finally came out to a friend, you know, and I let him know it was more than that, you know, and you know, I think that, you know, what's going on with me and stuff is, you know, there's an incongruency between my body and my soul. And like, you know, I'm just trying to figure this whole thing out, you know, and lo and behold, here I am with this body, you know, it's a little too tall, you know, but I had to get over that too. Like, you know, the fact that like, you know, playing basketball, like that helps, you know, the Lisa Leslies of the world and stuff, where there are women my height, you know, who are like, you know, super women and fantastic. I didn't think that there was any place for me because it's like, oh, you know, you can't be 6 foot whatever, you know, and be a woman, you know, and it can't be true, you know. So I went through all of those, you know, doubts and questions and fear more than anything. And when that happened, when the unfortunate part of, you know, my marriage dissolved and, you know, things got ugly and shit, I had to pull things together. I still had children to take care of, and I still had to, you know, do what I had to do, you know, to kind of survive. And now I have to all of a sudden figure out how to become myself, you know. And that was a learning process, a trial and error kind of thing. And many people who saw me around here kind of saw a lot of transparency. And I was running around here before anybody. You know, we're talking about Asbury Park. And this is when no one was, you know, I was one of 25 people living on Cookman Avenue. And we were, you know, breaking ground in a lot of new ways. And here I was, just to add, they needed a trans character in the story. So, you know, here comes me. And I just come rolling in, you know, oh, I got it. You know, I'm trans and like, you know, and oh, by the way, I'm a chiropractor. Oh, no, and I forgot to tell you, I have 3 kids too. Like, you know, and here they are. And like, and I literally raised those kids, like, you know, to the best of my ability on my own when I had them and stuff. Unfortunately, they have a fantastic mother, you know, who did a fantastic job with them as well and stuff too. Even though we had a lot of differences back then, we were able to make our family come first, you know, and that was one of the things that we had in common, our strongest bond, was the fact that our children came first. And no matter what we had that separated us and stuff, there we can always agree on. And so, Asbury got to watch a very special um, reality television show live for 20 years, where my kids grew up here and we were doing our thing and I was transitioning and, I worked my way all the way, I look at it almost like that story of the Joseph and the Code of Technicolor Dream. What was it called again? It was
Code of Many Colors.
Yeah, well, that was the real name. Yeah.
That's the Technicolor Dream Code.
But the Code of Many Colors. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that story, And it's funny because my mother used to kind of compare me to her older brother, Uncle Joey, which was good and bad, But it was, here I was like, that's the book of Joey, Like maybe someday I'll write that because it was like, down into the ashes, rise, hopefully try to rise as a phoenix. And but instead of me being the one that takes the stage when the stage comes up, it's the kids,
This Cookman Avenue, this Asbury Park, this loft that you're referring to, that's when we met. Maybe we're going back.
I don't even know.
15.
Maybe, yeah.
Ish.
At least.
Let's just say 15-ish.
Yeah, it's definitely pre-2010 because I moved out of there at 2010 or 11. I'm going to say 2007-ish.
We're going to go with it. In 2007, we met.
Okay.
And yes, that Cookman Avenue, that Asbury Park, that was a special time for me, personally.
Yeah.
I think it was a special time for, I don't want to say a lot of people. I think there was a small amount of people, and that's what's fucking awesome about it.
Select,
there wasn't
sure.
a lot of us
keeping
it weird and doing our thing. And that was, I don't, like many lasting and solid relationships in my life, I do not remember how they began. So I can't tell you.
Me neither.
Where we met or what we did.
You. Yeah.
But that's right on par, except for my wife, Julie. I remember the moment. The moment.
Well, that you're supposed to remember.
And thank you. That's correct. But it's true in this case. It's not just an obligation. But everyone else, the good stuff, I don't remember, and that's sort of charming to me. So our friendship, our relationship, centered around Asbury Park culture,
music,
which really were inseparable. Asbury Park culture and music.
Absolutely.
There were a lot of artists doing things other than music, but it was, to me, it's all music. It's all the same.
God, yeah.
When did you start writing songs and playing music? So I met you as a musician. You met me as a musician in Asbury Park. We were all just keeping it as free and weird as we could. But when did you sort of when did those wings start to pluck
Well, they were
out?
all developing at the same exact time. And keeping it weird made me laugh because I could think about so many times when I was sitting in the room saying, how the fuck am I more normal than these motherfuckers?
Well, you invited me. So Geena, folks, Geena would have these sort of after hours, whatever sort of jams, I guess.
Yeah, I tried giving it.
I feel like I've loved that word almost all of my life, and for some reason lately I feel corny saying it, like jam. Like I don't even know why. I don't know why.
I know. I tried giving
just sharing.
I was
going to
give it a name at one point. I thought I was going to call it the Taj. It was Thursday Asbury Jam. It was like, it never worked. It never stuck. It was so ridiculous.
Yeah, Thursday nights, invite only.
Yeah, we were doing that kind of stuff. But, with Dragster and stuff, my band, who I kind of evolved with that as well. Here I was, I started a rock band, and I was like...
Was that sort of were you kind of just learning and doing that at the same time? 'Cause I've been playing music and trying to write songs forever.
Well, I mean...
I didn't have an awakening. It was
I
when
have some
I was
prophetic
6 or 7.
songs. When I look back and stuff, one of my songs that a lot of people like, my song Castaway, I wrote that before I even transitioned. And when I read about it now, I'm like, oh shit. I was channeling something and stuff because there was so much of my life that was present at the moment that song is about, and I brought that with me. I had a couple of good songs in the bag, that I'd already written and stuff. But my musical journey, it was not the same as my younger brothers. We came from that strict, Italian family, and you're going to be an engineer, and you're going to be a teacher, and you're going to be some, I don't know what you're going to be, and I ended up becoming a doctor, and I loved music. I absolutely loved playing as a kid and stuff. I used to play this little keyboard with the little chords on the left side and the keys on the right side. You look at the book, it was so easy because they were numbered and shit. And next thing I know, I'm playing on top of Old Smoky, and then I'm riffing off the whole thing, because I knew kind of like, whatever, naturally just knew it was a key, just no one taught me what a key, being a key was. I just kind of naturally picked it up as a kid. And then that got away from me. Well, so many things got away from me, like the basketball that we never finished talking about and all these other kind of things, because I had this going on all the time, 20.
Was your gender, and you corrected me when we first spoke, when we spoke on the phone, and I sort of flippantly was conflating or confusing sexuality and gender, and you were very clear with me. You said, "Hey, let me help you out." Obviously, I'm not afraid to be called out.
You're not malicious.
And now I'm being called out on the internet.
No.
But
be nice to him.
You pointed out an important difference between gender and sexuality, and as soon as you said it, I was like, "Oh, of course that's right. That makes perfect sense, and of course that's right."
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea how I got on this point. I've completely lost myself now. So help me out. Where the fuck were we just going?
I'm the bad person to ask those questions. We were talking about never finishing, gender being in my way, sort of like.
So was that? All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, my friends, they help me all the fucking time. Was that always sort of the primary filter on everything?
I didn't know it was. I mean, I was living two lives. And I was struggling deeply, to keep it a secret.
You just compartmentalized.
Yes. I mean, there was times when I...
Which is torture.
Completely, my way of dealing with it was to go on the entire opposite end of the spectrum, which I feel like even when I transitioned, I did that. I flip-flopped, and it took me a while to find my balance,
In what way? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, at first, like, my representation of masculinity was my father and my older brother, and they were pretty tough guys, no doubt about it, and then I lived in Brick, and they were pretty tough guys too, and if you're going to survive out there and stuff in the street, you're going to be pretty tough.
Not the most tolerant town.
No.
Historically speaking.
No, not at all. Still as red as hell, unfortunately, and stuff, and like, Trump signs all over the fucking place, and God, I love them and shit, but it's like, damn, like, that's a whole nother thing, but, I was able to survive there because, I grew up in a rough and tumble blue collar family and learned how to be a take no shit kind of person very early on in life and stuff. And, was able to use that and my size and stuff to kind of protect myself and keep people away from everything that I was carrying inside of me. It's like, I could just, be the tough guy, or play football or basketball or baseball or run track. I did all of that stuff, and I did it well. God gave me a great body for athletics, I mean, I can remember throwing a football once in Asbury with my kids, and I'm in a bikini and I'm hailing a 50-yard, 60-yard maybe bomb,
That's the video footage I want.
Oh my God. I wish somebody would have some of these things.
Much better shape. Doing?
Yeah. And I remember the guy just stopping on the boardwalk and says, "The Jets need you."
Jets always need something.
He was willing to throw me out there.
Jets will take anything. With all respect.
Just put a helmet on me with the bikini. Like, good enough. You'd still be better, But, like, I learned that I had to survive, and I learned very quickly that this wasn't the kind of thing which, that's why, at this point right now, I feel like a big sister to a lot of trans women, a lot of trans people in general and stuff.
Talk about that. What's, in your opinion, because I don't have a strong opinion on it, nor do I have proper context. In your opinion, what guidance is needed these days for folks And what are some big pieces of disinformation that are easy to scrub and clear up right now? Let's have the through the glass education.
Oh, you think I'm gonna be able to get there through the glass?
Let's take a 90-second educational break.
I wish I could. First of all, I would say that we don't become. Get rid of the word become. Throw that out the door. Oh, became a woman, became a man, or whatever. It's like those are the kind of things that, like, they're not.
I can't talk about when I became straight. I can't talk about that
Right,
day.
yeah.
You know what? I think I figured it out.
Yeah, when did you realize you were straight?
Oh,
Yeah. What was that day that I was like? I asked my mother that
in the
question.
coat room.
Yeah.
With Carrie Houston. Carrie, where are you? Kindergarten. Early.
Oh,
early.
God.
I was an early.
And here you are naming names.
I haven't seen her since 3rd grade.
Aw.
She'll be okay. She'll be all right. It was her idea, by the way.
Oh, well, that's cool. As long as there's consent.
I was probably the one who was like, I don't think we should
I
be.
know.
She's like, shut up and give me your hand. That's
See,
what
little boys don't even get that kind of credit. It's like, what's the matter? You couldn't handle it.
I'm a lucky guy. I'm a lucky guy.
Well, you sure are. I know your wife, so I know you are. So,
amen.
we're blessed. We're all blessed, and being
right.
trans is a blessing, and that's what I had to come
So
to terms.
how do you? So what guidance is needed for young people?
Well, I mean,
What do they need to hear?
I'm
from
in
you?
that 90-second part still. They're talking about the things, and one of the things that, like, people misnomer here. Number one misnomer is people become a man or a woman. They don't. We identify with what our truly is within our soul. Right now I'm going to have to stop because I totally lost both of my ear.
You take a moment and I'll explain what's going on.
Oh.
So folks,
They both fell out of my ear.
we have some guests who, for one reason or another, cannot or will not wear headphones, and that's totally fine. We've got some gentlemen who are hat wearers, some ladies whose hair will not allow for pressure and crimping. So we have these like little in-ears, but you know what? They're not fancy. They're not fitted.
They're not.
All right, well, we're doing our best. I think I bought those with my own money. Thank you. And they suck, apparently. So earbuds, they fall out. Well, we don't even know where Geena's are right now. We could just imagine where they've fallen to and where they're at.
I'm here.
You can hear me? Oh, God, I was just about to say something
though
terrible. Oh, no, I'm so embarrassed.
like nothing I haven't heard before.
I'm so embarrassed.
Okay.
Take your time. Take your time.
No, I got you. You can always edit this out.
Oh, I'm afraid we can't.
So-
we don't have that skill set.
Oh, you don't?
No, and folks who have seen the show are aware of that. We
great.
let it fly.
I wasn't aware of that.
Well, you know what? Good news. The Rick Barry's episode aired today. Today is
Oh, good. I can go
hi,
home and
folks.
watch
Today
that.
is Friday, February 11th. Rick Barry's episode aired. That was riddled with more technical difficulties.
Look at me. I'm trying to sit down right now without
God.
falling off the chair.
Genevieve, don't put the camera on Geena right now.
I think I'm spot on. Okay, I'm going to hold my ear for a second without.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Just
you
put on
need-
some fucking headphones.
No, 'cause it fucks my hair up, and I hate that.
Damn it.
It'll be so uncomfortable. It'll be so hot. It'll be like sweating, like little beads of sweat coming off my chin.
Oh, the coats aren't contributing to that.
No, I feel good.
Just don't move.
The coat's cool. This is a Levi's coat, actually. It's like old school. I bought 2 of them.
Respect. I'm just saying, if you said you're hot, one thing is to take off.
I didn't know that there was no editing in this whole fucking thing. I had no idea that my ass was just in the camera.
Well, it's perfect for you and I, who have been living an unfiltered, unedited life.
You can say that again.
So much love to that. So I
Same
don't
here,
want to
baby.
lose the point that we left off on.
Sure.
For younger folks who are, well, you tell me, what do they need to hear?
Well, I mean, younger folks are in a definitely better environment than we were, that I was, let's say, whatever. So, and, no pat on the back here or anything like that. It's just, where we're evolving, And I think that, some people are having a really hard time with evolving. And a lot of people are, trying to do their best to kind of go along with it, and we can't be, we're going to make mistakes along the way. We're not going to get it right. And when people don't get it right, people shouldn't just jump all over everybody else.
Why? The rest of us get it right all the time.
Right. Right.
What's wrong with y'all?
Exactly.
I know it's so it's a simple. What you're saying is simple and true, right? Like, doesn't everybody deserve a break? Does anyone know exactly what's fucking going on?
What happened to a blooper? You know, just
I don't know.
Good old blooper. We still laugh at all the bloopers. Like, you know, like, can we have a blooper?
No, I think a lot of people are just way too serious.
People are going to say things that, you know, they don't, you know, mean necessarily. You know, like when you were saying before. I know the difference between malicious and sincerely, you know, ridicule, you know, and I know when someone's just, you know, and ignorance can be something that is harmless. It's not, you can't get on everybody's case because they don't know what you know, or you can't call everybody stupid or ignorant or whatever. Sometimes ignorance is harmless. It's not, wasn't meant to be ignorant. It didn't mean that if they would have known better.
What's the definition of ignorance? And I think that people forget that. I mean, the true definition is I just don't know. So it's very tough to criticize someone or scorn someone or cancel someone for ignorance. However, it's impossible for us to know what's in someone's heart. Because let's be honest, we all are like, oh, I didn't know.
Right.
I've told that lie before. Right? Oh, I didn't know. Sorry. Oh, you did know.
How easy. Yeah, how easy to get off.
But we have to go easy on each other.
And we have to learn how to say we're sorry, and we have to learn how to say we're wrong. You know, I mean that we're wrong and I'm sorry. You know, like so many people just their egos get so in front of everything that they just can't be wrong. And they can't say they're sorry, and they can't forgive other people and stuff. And it's like, that's why we're getting nowhere, you know, and that's why we're at battle with people that we love. And it's so stupid that, like, you know, we're living this one and only life. I don't know how many lives you live, or I don't know what goes on. I've tended to take the role of, you know, I don't know anything, and I especially don't know how to put these fucking earphone buds in, but I'm gonna try.
We've got all the
Can I
time,
get some
though.
duct tape and just duct tape my ear? Like,
It's gonna fuck up your hair.
okay,
We can't duct tape your
right.
head
That's
without
right.
fucking
and
up
I
your hair.
notice your duct tape is blue, which would not match
We
my
do.
outfit.
We have blue. We do have blue tape.
I need black duct tape.
Very studio. Very studio.
So anyway, you know, I mean, those are all the things on a higher level and stuff that, like, I just reside to the fact that even at this age, I've learned that I know nothing. You know, like, there's so much to know about living, that's where faith comes in. And my life now is more faith-based than ever. And when I say faith-based, I don't mean religiously. I mean, like, really, just you got to put your faith into a higher power. You know, well, where's the next stop? Where's the next place? Where's everything? It's like, and if you don't find a higher power to hang on to, man, this is a scary fucking ride. You know, this is really not so easy. And look at all these people that are unraveling and stuff, and at the same exact time, you know, the conversation of God is not in their vocabulary anymore. It's kind of become a joke where it's like so not vogue, where it's like, I don't know, look upstairs, look outside, just go outside. If you can't find God outside, you know, I mean, you're not looking hard enough. I mean, there's so many, you know, places where God exists, you know, and
well,
everything.
the problem is so many people want to put a name or a label or a dogma or a theory or a way of living that's unshakable on God, so to speak. God can be, I mean, it's, for me, I'm not a religious person. Sorry, Mom. As my dad would say, she's working the beads every week to bring me back to the fold. But I don't see a difference between working the beads or just being a conscientious person who's trying to do better, who's aware that they are, I don't want to say I'm insignificant in the world, because I'm significant to my friends, and my family, and my children.
Well, much more than that, too.
But in the scheme of the universe, it's like, what do you, you're not really making an impact.
That's not true.
Tell me how I'm not
I don't
making.
think that's true. I mean, I'm not going to say it's true. Like, I know what the fuck I'm
Well,
talking about.
tell me your truth.
My truth is the fact that, like, you know, if you think about how omnipotent this whole fucking thing is, how big it all is, and you try to filter it through your little pea brain that you have and stuff, then of course you're not significant. You're not anything. But if you look at of what governs this whole thing, this universal intelligence that puts it all together and organizes all this fucking chaos and stuff, you think it's hard for that particular consciousness or whatever you want to call it, that intelligence stuff, to love you, to think you're special, to think that you're the crowning creation that they on this earth, because you are. What else is a bigger creation than us on this planet? If in fact we can run this planet the way that we want, the way, and that's not always a good thing. We seem to think sometimes that in our existence and stuff that we're so insignificant. We don't realize how really significant we are. It's like clearing the field and putting new people on the field in the arena and stuff. I'm like, you guys gonna get it right? And then the next generation and the next generation and next civilization, because eternity is a long fucking time. So we don't really take all of that in and understand that not only eternity is a long time, but the universe is a big place too.
I may have come off wrong there. I want to clarify. I think you're right. I don't think I or we are insignificant. I think I came off wrong. What I mean to say is, I feel like I'm part of everything, and everything is part of everything.
Absolutely.
So we live near the beach. So I look at the beach, and I say, okay, there's, trillions upon trillions upon trillions to the 100th power grains of sand on the beach. I'm one of those.
Absolutely.
So looking at it objectively and quickly, oh, well, if I just took me out, there's no difference. Insignificant. But that's not what I mean. What I mean is,
not true.
I'm one of everything. So if there's no me, there's no anything. And that gives me a lot of peace. So what I'm also saying is that doesn't give me any existential angst. What I'm saying, it doesn't make me feel a nihilistic insignificance. It actually gives me a ton of peace. It's been dissolving my ego, hopefully consistently, for a while, and I want to get rid of the rest of it. So it's like, well, I'm like a blade of grass. Some soil that used to make Grandpa's tomatoes.
You will
nice.
be. You will be. But for now, you're not. You're human. And lately, funny enough, I've been trying to live this metaphysical existence and trying to get to this higher power. I used to love that Who song, The Seeker. For some reason, I made the words, mean what I was, they call me the Seeker. And,
yeah.
Call me the Seeker. And I've been living that life of seeking. And lately, I've been just allowing myself to be human, to actually just enjoy a television show, not think it's stupid, because it is, but just to enjoy the things that we have, as we're living this human experience, and yeah, maybe someday we will be fertilizer and or our bodies will or whatever, but I like to think that like energy can't be created or destroyed, and especially intelligence and stuff. And I don't really know when you talk about an infinite amount of time, what we need or what, where we're placed and how it kind of goes along. I'm sure it's not on the same timeline that we're on right now.
Oh, Lord.
So
it's incomprehensible.
If we went to sleep for a few thousand years, it wouldn't be a big deal. It would not be a big deal because, here we are in a continuum that never ends, And I don't know. I know maybe some people don't make it to that. Maybe that's what hell really is that you're just extinguished and it's like, you don't get to exist anymore. You suck.
I think the only hell is self-propagated and it's right here on Earth.
Well, there's some truth to that, for sure. As people have made all of those things up and stuff. But that being said and stuff, I don't know if there's a merit system for, where we end up in our afterlife and stuff. But I do understand that, like, there's a possibility of an afterlife and stuff too. So I'd like to, rather than just, push it off as something that I'm going to deny all my life so that I can do whatever the fuck I want in my life and stuff and just ignore it. Maybe I should pay a little attention to it and stuff and try to figure it out for myself and understand to do the best I could with my interpretation of it, because your interpretation is no better than mine, and vice versa. So if you don't think there's anything, okay, that's fine. That's the conclusion you came to. Unfortunately, there's nobody coming down here, selling us with a bunch of shit and being like, you should consider this one, or you consider that one. It's like we're all left alone to figure this out, every single one of us, and we'll all make that transition on our own. Every single one of us.
That's what makes a lot of people feel alone. For me, it always made me feel connected.
Me too.
Even if I wasn't like
More
down
connected.
with the if it, like, just to use religion as a term, even if I wasn't like, well, I don't subscribe to that particular dogma or something, I still felt connected, not unlike a tradition of our Italian American ancestry,
Right.
not like our connection to a musical community, not like our connection to people who are just creative, passionate, and weird. It all felt like, thank God, because if you're not connected to anything, that's when you're fucked.
Well, absolutely. And I think a lot of people are suffering nowadays because they're not looking deeper into their connectivity to everything else, not just each other, but everything. And I mean, you can't keep an eye on all of that. You can't maintain it all or whatever.
No.
You just have to understand that, every living organism is a part of you, and whatever role they're playing in this whole thing is being governed somewhere else, somehow else. It's a lot bigger and greater than we can even comprehend. So there's where faith comes in. Just understanding that you're going to be okay, that everything is meant for a reason, to try to be as good as you possibly can, because I would imagine that evil has really no place in the whole thing, nastiness and all of the things, violence, and, the things that people just take as normal today. Oh, well, Russia's going to fucking invade Ukraine in the next couple of days, and, 25,000 people are going to be dead. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you okay with that? Like, you just think that that's okay? As long as it's not going to be you. It's going to be okay. And people are just like, let me have another cocktail. I might be dead tomorrow. Like, or they might kill 25,000, 50,000 people or whatever. And this jerk off is standing there like, I'll wait until after the Olympics are over because I don't want to insult my friend, the other emperor. Like, fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you, these emperors that get involved in making decisions about life. And they're no more than we are as far as human is concerned and stuff. They're not fucking deities. They haven't come down from heaven and stuff to all of a sudden, tell us what to do or how to do whatever. They're just fucking human beings that are going to die like we're going to die and stuff, and meet their own fate and stuff. And in the meantime, their egos are fucking running the world,
Ego.
Yeah, their egos are running the fucking world. These guys are on this fucking power trip. And that's like, lately as I'm reaching my old sage age or whatever.
Yeah, we're talking like some old,
hell yeah.
little coots.
Yeah.
Here.
We're digging. I got my shovel right now. I'm digging in.
I got mine too. Let's go dig later.
Absolutely.
Go out digging.
Yeah, let me tell you. And that's the beauty of being trans, I think, too. Like, having both ends of the spectrum and having a full spectrum at my availability and stuff, now that I realize and know how to use it and how to view it and how to comprehend it and stuff. I can see from both ends of this particular spectrum, this gender spectrum, let's say, but there's so much more to it. And, getting involved in men's egos and stuff, and, look at all these, male leaders and stuff that are, rule by violence and bring all of this stuff into our lives and pretty much, let us know the fate of what we are or what we can be and stuff. It could take our lives away and stuff. I just think the leadership on earth sucks. It's just like, if you look at and review, where are all the great spiritual leaders? Where are the lovers? Where are the peaceful people? Where are the people looking for harmony and stuff? Like, they've all been replaced. And if you talk too much or whatever, sooner or later, this person disappears, that person disappears. It's like, who hung themselves. Suddenly they had, and I'm not going to go off on all conspiracy theories and stuff, but Chris Cornell did not kill himself. I'm just saying, he was awesome. I met him in person.
Chris,
there's people out there.
I got to see that guy sing once.
Oh,
and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, me too. He had it.
He had it.
Yeah.
I had no expectations. I wasn't thinking much of it.
No.
And I was real close.
Some people are tapped in.
and I saw the power, and I'm like, oh wow, that's
Yeah.
so special.
Effortlessly. Just like,
It seemed,
wasn't even a showman. Just
but he was, clearly deeply troubled,
I don't know.
addicted.
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
He was doing great at the end.
a known, I mean, he
His-
would talk
well,
about
he-
his
he-
alcoholism.
He was struggling with things for sure. His
And to
family.
be addicted is
His family
definitely to
swears
be
up and
only
down.
half in the game.
Yeah, but he was doing so great for such a long time, and all of a sudden you went from this to I'm going to just hang myself on a bar in where was it, Detroit or something, in my shower curtain or whatever. I don't know. I can't figure it all out and put all the pieces together and stuff. That was a great being. A lot of great beings, sort of somehow, who have great messages. The John Lennons of the world or whatever. They all leave early, and meanwhile we're stuck with the fucks that just can't die. They're like fucking cockroaches, and they're just here forever. And they're ruling, and they're telling us what to do, and they're making life not so great.
Well, I mean, the legacy of the greats, for me, feels like it's a stronger and more lasting legacy than the not so greats. So
Well, in
maybe
history,
there's
yeah.
less of them,
No.
but it's a stronger reverberation.
Yeah, but we have to suffer at the time. I mean, I don't give a shit how history kind of tells it later on and finally admits the fact that guy sucked and this guy was beautiful. And that's not because we're living it right now. We have to take the brunt of who sucks and stuff. And a lot of other people, who just have the wrong purpose. I mean, we're here once. We're going to go through this once, and at the same as we're going through it and stuff, like these things really aren't that important, especially when you talk about, materialism, commercialism, capitalism, all of these other kind of things. I'm not saying that it's the worst country in the whole wide world. I'm not anti-American. I'm not any of those kind of things or whatever. But let's stop fucking pretending that we're so fucking great too. We have so many problems to clear up in our country, and that would clear up the world. And you're fighting people crossing a border that are desperate to get into a country that's because their country is so fucking terrible. I don't know if it's the right thing to go in there and all of a sudden help fix their country either. I don't know I just know there's a lot of trouble on earth, like all over the damn place.
Well, there's a lot of trouble on earth. It seems there's less trouble than there used to be historically. I don't know if I'd want to
That's true.
be a common citizen. I guess I'll put myself in common citizen category.
We are. Yeah, sure, we are.
I don't know if I'd want to be a common citizen in another age, in another time, in another country. Sure, I wouldn't mind hanging out in, I don't know, certain parts of Italy during the Renaissance. I wouldn't mind being in certain parts of Africa during this period, Asia during this period. But overall, I think for the most part, I don't know if I'd want to be anywhere else at any other time.
You wouldn't want to be in Syria right now. I mean, I know you wouldn't want to be there in the last few years.
I am not saying that there.
I mean, we're
that
so
there are
entitled.
places that
We're
are,
so entitled that we
100%, 100%.
Yeah, so entitled. And with that gift that we've been given, when you're given a gift, you're supposed to give back. You're not supposed to just take it and hoard it and keep it to yourself or whatever. It's like, fuck, we're living a great life as it is. I mean, seriously, there's no more room to give anybody anything. Like, fuck them. Like, and that's going to fucking keep me from getting my fucking boat. Like, if I have to give that, I can't have that second house. Fucking come on. Like, that's what it's really come down to. That, like, don't let them in the fucking border. Fuck them. Like, just, I can't believe that we're really at this place in life and stuff that we're not givers anymore. We're just takers. And we're entitled, and we feel like, especially in this country and stuff, that, like, we should have everything, and we don't really give a shit, like, who doesn't have, what we have.
It brings its own anxiety and angst. I think our culture, again, being clear, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else at any other time. I don't think. I feel like I'm a giver. I give more than I take. And I think the average person does. I think a lot of times what we're describing is really our politics.
No, it's who they give to.
And our political leadership.
We have to figure out who, we have to give to people that are not just within our comfort zone and not just within the people that we want to give to, our family, our kids or whatever. That's easy to give. The test of giving is really when you turn around and you look at, giving to people you don't want to give to, the people but they need it, and you got to give it to them anyway.
I remember getting that drilled in. So you went to Catholic school,
Yeah.
and I feel like every week, well, first of all, every class was a religion class. Like whether you were in math, science, right?
Right.
Like no matter what class you were in religion class.
Somehow, some way, they were pushing the agenda,
And at our school,
which is not terrible. It's not the worst thing in the world.
no,
There's a lot of virtues that come out of
I
my...
gleaned so much from, particularly, not so much high school. I didn't dig my high school, but in my elementary school, Holy Innocents and Neptune, which closed down a couple years ago.
Yeah. Is that on Jumping Brook over there? Is that...
Yeah, right near there.
Yeah.
Yeah, near the cemetery hill there, which is a great sledding spot if you're looking for like...
I was asking for that. Just you're not on Facebook, are you?
No.
Oh, okay. That's why you don't know, because I was asking when it snowed where the sledding spot was, and everybody was coming back and talking about that.
Oh, it used to be only a few of us knew. But now that everyone knows, Old Corley's Avenue in Neptune, New Jersey. I grew up down the street from there.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I was right down the road, right on across from what was then the Welsh Farms Dairy.
I did not know that.
And every night I'd go to sleep, and the night shift would all the trucks, all the semis would come in unloading all the milk and the crates. So what gave me peace at night, thank God I'm easily distracted and I'm okay with that. The sound of trucks backing up. Beep,
oh yeah, because it started to comfort
was
you.
my melatonin.
I get it. I
My
grew
whole
up
life.
on the
And
water.
then it was like my first job too. I worked on the loading docks at the dairy, so I would just walk across the street.
That's a nice job.
Yeah, it was cool. I always liked
easy.
Just gonna use my hands. I'm gonna get real dirty. 2/3 of people are like, oh, I couldn't do that. I'm like, that's my jam. I liked those jobs. I worked with my father doing construction.
Sure, you're mine too. Yeah, you're familiar with it. And
Were you laying some bricks with Dad?
Oh yes. Okay, 22 shovelfuls of sand to 1 bag of cement. I forgot how many buckets of water that is. And
You
then
have to tell us because we've only got 2/3 of the equation.
I'll save that for the next episode. But yeah, I mix
Google it, people.
I mix my share of cement for sure. You know,
yeah.
in the wheelbarrow and carried it around, and carried that wood around. Unfortunately, it helped me just recently. You know, when I purchased the new house over here on moving back to Asbury Park, I had to do a lot of the work myself. You know, so. I was a little bit like, kind of like, "Ew, does Geena do this?" Talking in third person to myself. And I was like, hell yeah, I have to do what I have to do right now because I have not owned a house in 20 years. Unfortunately, I led a charmed life, got out of school, did what I needed to do. Wasn't the most likely person to become a doctor, but I did it. And I got through it and passed my boards and had a very successful practice and made a lot of money. And, had my 5 cars and a beautiful house on a lake and blah, 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 blah. It all fell apart, lost it all, And it was a worthwhile trade-off. Everybody's fine, and we all understand nowadays that it's best to be yourself. That all of us, family-wise, that was a lesson we learned that we took out of this. But, I haven't had a house. I've been a tenant. And that is the worst experience ever for me.
I thought you owned that house where we hung out last when I was working with your daughter.
No.
We did that rehearsal.
No.
That wasn't your place. You were renting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was renting. I don't know where this sook is.
Take your time.
No, it's okay.
So like I said, you and I, we met through music. And so you've released and performed, correct me if I'm wrong, primarily as Geena and Dragster.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a name for it. It was
Dragster.
Dragster.
Dragster's like the best fucking name.
You think it was, until
it's so like obvious.
Why didn't everybody else take
funny.
it? Why wasn't it taken way before me and stuff? Like, I'm not really sure if anybody.
No one was ready.
I took it with this, total conviction, where it's like, fucking Dragster, man.
We'll talk about the music. Well, don't tell me. I know.
Oh,
tell the world
audience
about Geena and Dragster, sort of your musical evolution and its place here.
Shit, man, I love music, love it. And I wish I could serve it as well as it has served me, I'm a shitty musician. I taught myself whatever I can teach myself, but like I've see this thing on Facebook about, what's wrong? You're a dabbler. It's like, so like, okay, maybe I'm a dabbler or whatever,
What
but
does that
like,
mean? What do you mean, dabbler?
somebody gets into something and starts to like really get into it, and then they put it down, then they pick it back up again, then they put it down, they dabble in
Yeah,
it.
isn't that all of us?
Right.
What the fuck?
So,
That's called an excellent artist, thank you, not a dabbler. Dabbler.
but at the end of the day and stuff, I wasn't looking to be a technician. I was looking to be a musician. And that truly is, a musician is a different definition than being a technician. And there's a lot of people out there that really can play their instruments so well, and they're so, admirable. And I love watching a great person shred a lead, a really good musician, or play the drums and stuff. I know you play the drums, which I never knew, until you started playing with all our friends and stuff. I was like, oh, Mike plays the drums too. That's amazing.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
And I always loved your guitar. I always loved where you were coming from. It was from a very simplistic kind of place or whatever, but it was in the right place all the time, and it wasn't overplaying or anything like that, which I was desperately looking for because, every shredding, overplaying, too loud motherfucker wanted to be in my band, so.
I got no time for that.
And I was always, stuck with every single one of them. Ego, once again, plays into all of this conversation. And, for me and stuff, it's like, I know that, me, my innermost self and music are synonymous, and just, and then I actually make more sense to myself as a musician than anything else. That is, sort of, my greatest identity probably is that, and when me as myself, Geena, is on stage, that really makes more sense. That just puts it all together. And my opportunity to be able to really express myself to who I am in my fullest. Most authentic self, and so I tried to put together a band, and I was like, I needed a name, and I think it goes as early back as when I was doing a open mic at the Adriatic. I don't know if you remember where that was.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to get a friend of mine, Christy Lee Wilcox, some business where she was bartending and stuff. And so I started doing this open mic because I had this small little PA system that I could bring with me and shit.
There was a funky after hours scene there for a while.
Yeah, well, that was me.
That's right.
I don't know when, in fact, but I started bringing people into this steakhouse, where we're just like, hanging out and playing music. And, everybody's just showing up. And this convergence that Asbury Park was having was like, so cool because people was showing up out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden one night I'd, meet another person, meet another person. And I remember, this guy, Joe Harvard, walking in, and that was my introduction to Joe. Like all of a sudden he walks in and, he was the quintessential DIY guy,
dude,
ever. So here he was, seeing me doing this and stuff, and he completely got on board. And one thing led to another, and next thing I know, like I had a couple songs and met a couple other cats, and we're gonna try to pull off a gig. Like just why not play my songs and shit. And so that's where it came. We needed a name, and we were Dragster. At that time, we were just Dragster. And I thought, oh, fuck, this is fucking great. That's what a rock song, what a rock name this is, Dragster. Like, it just, like, hits it right where it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's right.
And, well, long story short, as I evolved a little bit, I realized, like, oh my God, now I know what a drag queen means. And I'm totally not a drag queen. God love them. I fucking love watching a great drag act or whatever. But
well, define that for us.
Well, a drag queen is...
There's supposed to be an educational element to this podcast.
I don't even know if I know it that well, and I really want to be very cautious as I...
Well, as you know it. Yeah, none of us are experts on everybody's feelings.
Well, I know a lot of trans women that do drag nowadays. I do. And so therefore, it kind of has maybe evolved, the term. Maybe it hasn't. But in my interpretation of it, back in the day, a drag queen was... I don't even know if they were just exclusively gay. I just know that they were like sort of like a female impersonator who could put on a hell of a show and kick their heels over their head and shit and do a couple of splits and all kinds of stuff. And they're fucking fierce. Like wear the best costumes and do the best numbers and stuff and lip sync. And some of them wouldn't even bother lip syncing, but there were tremendous shows. I mean, that they would put on and stuff, and that was, a drag queen and a drag scene, and now, there's a million shows, and there's RuPaul's, Drag Race and all these other kind of things or whatever that come out since then. But
I
back
want to give
then,
a shout out to RuPaul.
hell yes.
Because my brother
Yeah.
and I, what's up, Anthony? I know you don't watch this show. I don't know why I'm talking to
I
you.
don't know. We don't know why you don't, really.
Yeah, what's up with that? But I know my
Seriously,
mom
support,
does sometimes.
support.
And Mom, you'll notice I had generally better language on this episode, and I can't speak
Let's
for
try another
Geena
one.
today, so I apologize for her. Go on. You were saying, oh,
I want to get there. I just don't know right and left anymore. I should have asked her when she was here for some glue. Maybe some. Like,
that's what people do. They glue stuff inside their ear.
what do they call that? That old glue that used to stick to everything.
Crazy glue?
Yes, crazy glue.
That would be crazy for you to put
Yes.
that in your ear. I think that's why they called it that.
Uh huh.
So RuPaul. So I got thrown off.
Never ever watched a show in my life.
No, I've never seen it.
Me neither.
But
Me
my
neither.
brother and
But
I
that's so
are
weird.
so connected to RuPaul because no matter what, I mean, how many decades are we going back? One of our favorite punchlines. You probably know what I'm going to say. You better work.
Oh, well, that I know. Yeah, I know all that shit.
You better work.
oh, yeah,
And we've been
she's-
dropping that line and giving props and respect to
fucking
RuPaul forever. So
She's
Anthony,
fucking
you're not
awesome.
watching this, but this is our
Well, neither
RuPaul
is
moment.
RuPaul either. So.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
How dare
hopefully
you?
she is because she's.
I think there's a better chance of
fucking
RuPaul
awesome.
seeing it than my brother.
This is true. Yeah. No, and I had to learn from all of that. So that's when I finally got to that point where I was like, oh, guys, I don't feel comfortable being a dragster anymore. Like I just feel like I'm kind of misrepresenting myself and every other trans person. And at the time, we were still rolling around the words, transsexual, transvestite. And I think transvestite was dead by then. At the time, transgender was an umbrella term for everybody, cross-dressers, and there was a different thing for
Well,
each.
because there wasn't an understanding.
Well, like
You just took the visual and you said, okay, that's what's going on here. But the motivation wasn't understood.
we're in the bamboo forest. There's no blueprint, and we're like printing it out as we go along. Okay. Suddenly, I turned around one day and everybody told me that it's all transgender at this point, and it's like, okay, I'm on board with whatever you say. I was kind of comfortable with transsexual. I kind of felt like that, but if I really think about the semantics of everything, which I'm sure somebody else did, I didn't give it that much thought. I could understand why that doesn't work either, because like we said before, it's not about sexual identification, it's about gender.
That's right.
So-
And you pointed out something interesting when we were talking about that. You said that, correct me if I don't have this right, more transgendered women angle straight. Am I getting it right?
Yeah, I didn't do the statistics on it and stuff, but I definitely...
You pointed out, you said even more so with transgendered women when we were
But
talking.
be careful when you say that, because remember, say it again, frame it for yourself again.
Okay.
Because you're going to
More
all of a sudden...
transgendered women are straight than gay. Help me. Come on. Don't leave me out here dangling. Help me. Come on.
Why are they straight?
Well, I don't know why. I'm trying to quote
No,
you.
seriously. Let's
Oh, I have no idea.
let's dissect it a little bit.
Well, I think
just
okay.
for fun, since
Okay,
since you've
because
already,
I think
since this is live and not editable.
Okay, I'm happy to have this conversation.
Right.
I'm happy to expose.
And you didn't do anything wrong, but just see,
Oh, I know.
because it's my fucking show. And it's like,
Oh man, this is not my studio. I'm
listen.
the host. Okay, I'll lay it out for you because I think your sexual proclivity, straight, gay, or bisexual, can or has nothing to do with your gender identity. Is that correct?
yes.
And if so,
I think so.
I thought that you were pointing out that there are proclivities or tendencies more for one gender than the other to be straight or gay.
Yeah, but the way that you framed it, when you said that like they tend to be more straight, would mean man, woman, heterosexual. How did you get to that point?
as I remember it, you were describing, it was when you were pointing out the difference, and you were reminding me to be careful between the difference between sexuality and gender, which made sense instantly. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course, thank you. However, regardless of gender, we have our sexuality, which is who we're attracted to, basically. If anybody, maybe some people are attracted to nobody. I'm just going to put it in the camps of straight, gay, and bisexual. Is that fair?
I hate it. I mean, they're labels, but go for the
But if
sake
we're
of
talking,
conversation. Let's hear.
well, I don't want to do it for the sake of
and I don't want to
conversation.
nail you on this either. You know,
I don't.
I'm not
No,
looking
you could nail me
I'm
if
not
you
looking
want.
to. I never ever looking to nail
For
anybody.
the sake of the majority of people, isn't it?
Well, I could clean it up right now and explain it to you.
Do it. Save me from this pit you're fucking making me dig.
Say, it's taking too long, and I got to go to the bathroom. So.
You gave me the shovel. Fuck you.
I did. I told you that earlier.
You can take a bathroom break if you want. Seriously.
Awesome. We'll do that in a second. You know, I mean, since I'm going to explain this, and then we'll take a station identification. But when you're talking about two women being together, and you're talking about them being straight, it's a very difficult thing to comprehend for the two women that you just described. That even though you naturally went to the place where it's like, well, they're prone to having straight relationships, like meaning to say that like that dude is with a woman, like, so they're like, they're having a hetero relationship with each other. It's like, but you misunderstood, or you just kind of like the fact of the identity part of it. It all starts with the identity. And I hate the labels. Yeah, I really do. I can't stand the labels, especially when it comes from... I don't mind it for other people. It's fine if it's for them or whatever. You want to sexually identify as gay or straight or whatever. That's fine. I understand that people need to, have those...
It has a place.
Right, have those places and stuff. But for trans people, it becomes a real gray area, very ambiguous, and everything is, and really, they don't really apply to trans people, and I'm sick of trying to make them apply. If I'm going out with a woman, it doesn't make me a lesbian, and but for the context of what you're talking about, you would have wanted to say, I'm sure, that would gravitate more towards being gay, like more towards being lesbians, because a lot of trans females do end up with women.
We're saying the same thing.
Right. We
I
termed it differently.
I was saying straight. Follow me.
That's
folks.
what I'm trying to say.
I was saying straight with respect to... You know what I'm saying. Help me.
Just give me back the shovel.
I was saying straight with respect to the fact that when you were born, right? Okay. So people who would look at you, your naked body,
right,
when you were born, say, okay, so this person who's going to be attracted to or marry, and we talked about variations in that,
right,
of course.
Right, sure.
I called that straight. That's what I called straight. And that's what I thought you were saying to me on the phone.
Okay.
And you said that there was more of a trend that way. So I'm happy.
I'm not young enough to nail you to the cross right now, right? So I'm going to leave it. You're okay. You're good with me.
We're in the weeds.
I know you understand. We're
weeds.
so in the fucking weeds right now. But I understand that this is a learning process for a lot of different people and stuff. And obviously, the body does not dictate, what we're talking about whatsoever. And I've heard all the fucking jokes and the fucking idiot Dave Chappelle's and all the other people out there thinking they didn't know what they're talking about, and they don't. Take it from the horse's mouth and stuff. It starts from the soul, and it's a soul thing, and really, like, however you want to identify, however you identify, however you're convinced you're identified, you don't have to fucking answer to anybody else and try to convince them or whatever. It's like, it is what it is. And with that being said and stuff, your physical body doesn't dictate who you are either. So just because you're, even to this day, if there was a trans woman who decided to be non-operative, and did not go through any surgeries or any gender confirming surgery or anything like that, she's not having a heterosexual relationship with a woman. I don't care if they're fucking. I mean, I hate to be graphic and stuff, but this is an identity thing where people are both identifying each other as women and stuff. And I know that we can have an argument, and there's plenty of people here can bash the shit out of this or whatever. But this is, I don't know, this is just a different level of consciousness. And I don't think that, everybody has the right to have an opinion on that. I don't even have the right to have an opinion on that. That's just between them in the first place. Anyway, so that being said, it's like, to answer a question that I think I forgot already. It's just,
Was there a question?
I don't know whether there was a question or not, but I mean, yeah, there's too much to just throw a little bit more into this interesting topic and stuff. Yeah, a lot of trans women and a lot of trans men end up with women, which doesn't say a lot about hetero men.
Well, women are hot.
And smart.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, yeah. So here we're all basically saying, yeah, fuck men in general. It's just.
I'm fine with that.
I'm trans. I'm going with women. I'm a trans woman. I'm going with women. Well, I'm a trans man. I'm going with women too. Can't fucking blame me there.
Feels like a nice choice. Hey, I'm on that team too.
I think there's a lot of hetero women would like to take that train as well.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
We know them, which is why I think a lot of those folks experiment a lot more.
Yeah.
So like, what the fuck?
Is that the deeper conversation here? Do men really have to fucking reform in 2022? Is that what we're talking about right now? That, like, men have a lot of fucking work to do, in such a huge capacity. Who wages the wars? Who starts the fights? Who wants all the money? Who I don't know.
Geena, this is a separate fucking podcast.
I'm just putting it out there.
Go ahead.
Just going to put it out there.
Folks, that's out there.
Right.
Noted.
Just going to put it out there.
And we will host a podcast to who the more gracious, less I don't know.
Less offensive gender is?
Ooh.
We all know already.
Yeah, we all know. Exactly. I tell you what, I really appreciate. Well, before I thank you, I want to thank anyone who's been hanging in on this podcast. See, folks, you can learn and you could have conversation and you can disagree, you could agree, you could not understand or be ignorant, and you can be enlightened, and it's all okay. Mm-hmm. Everything is okay. We don't have to fight. We don't have to fucking cancel each other. No. We don't have to not call someone on their birthday anymore. We don't have to disregard grandma. We don't have to worry about fucking Uncle Ronnie's nasty fucking statement. We don't. It's okay.
As long as you're willing to learn.
As long as you're
open and willing to learn. Let's all just be open and willing to learn from each other. Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? And I don't want to learn old lessons that we've already known and we've progressed from, we've evolved. Let's learn the new stuff that's out there. Give it a try. Yeah. It might be unfamiliar and uncomfortable or whatever. It might not feel good when you first throw it on there and stuff, but I think it all leads towards more peace, like you said. It's a better world out there today or whatever. And hopefully we're not going to need nuclear weapons to keep everybody from having war, whose bombs are bigger than the other. Maybe we can just get to the point where we just understand it's stupid, it's dumb. And we should all just get on the right page with each other and live this one and only life that we're living to this fullest.
You're a hippie.
Just bang it out.
You're a hippie.
Whatever.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
You for this conversation.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
This was lovely.
Yeah.
I consider you a good friend, and I really appreciate this conversation. I hope y'all got something from it too. And check out Geena and Dragster. I know you have a couple things released. Those releases probably...
I don't. I will.
You've got something. I saw something today.
No, I tried. You can find one song.
Okay, well, that's what I'm
one
talking
song
about.
on Spotify.
That's the one song.
We didn't even put the mastered version on it, but one song on Spotify. Yeah,
and Spotify allowed that?
It was a placeholder, yeah. And it's we were going to name it, at the time, we were going to name it Trans Am 2020. Like Vision 2020, and it was also 2020. And now 2 years have went by since the pandemic.
Your puns in titles. So there's Trans Am, there's
my kids
Normal.
Yes.
Normal.
No, Normal.
I'm not making fun.
No, you had it right.
I'm just saying, you gotta, there's a trend here.
That's a girl. She's Normal. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a play on words too. And my kids know I try to make an analogy out of everything. Every learning opportunity is an analogy. So they make fun of me about.
They're like, cut that shit out.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, don't cut it out. Keep doing you.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to keep doing me.
All right.
And thanks for coming on the show. I don't know, anything you want to plug? I don't know, this is like
Yeah.
the clunkiest ending ever. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it.
This was great.
It's all good. I had a lot of fun, and I'm so happy that you invited me to come on and stuff. And this is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, baby.
Geena Buono, also known as Dr. Geena Buono.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging in. Check out the other podcasts as well. Thank you. Be safe and learn. Goodbye.